Good evening. Good evening and welcome, working group members and members of the public. Just give everyone one moment to get seated here. Alrighty. Welcome to the fifth Mid-City Community Plan Update Working Group meeting. My name is Morgan Ruby. I'm a senior planner here with the City of San Diego, and I'll be helping to facilitate this working group meeting tonight. This meeting is being recorded, and that is to ensure that anyone who cannot join tonight can follow along. It will be posted on the Plan Update website following the meeting. Here is our agenda for the evening. We will start with an introduction, and then city staff will present in two parts. The first part will be focused on a general overview of the draft ideas report introduction and sustainability, equity, and climate chapters. After, we will pause 20 minutes for a chance for our working group members to reflect, share their thoughts, and ask any questions. The second part will be focused on the land use and urban design sections with another pause, a 20-minute pause for working group discussion. We will then take public comments for 20 minutes and conclude this meeting promptly at 8 p.m. So moving on for today's presenters, I've introduced myself already, and we also are here with Alex Frost from the community planning section. Working behind the scenes tonight, we have Selena Sanchez, Aparna Padmakumar, Vanessa Tang, and Mauricio Aguilar. We also have city staff available online to address any questions. So now for a general update and overview of Mid-City Community Plan Update. All right, so we have our working group members here tonight who are all residents of Mid-City representing each area. They're all brought on through an application process, which is available online if anyone's interested in learning more about how that works. Their role is to be involved in the plan update from start to finish, review project materials, suggest ideas that can be included in the plan update, and provide feedback on proposals related to the plan. I'll also request for us all in this meeting to listen to each other and to the public because we are seeking to create a dynamic update from a very diverse community, and we are wanting to be collective about our approach and hear everyone's point of view. For in-person attendees, you can find bathrooms through the curtains, behind those black curtains on the left-hand side, and there are some water bottles by the entry table where you came in. This is a hybrid meeting with some participants on Zoom. For working group members online, please rename yourself in Zoom to include both your name and the community you represent so that when it comes time for the working group discussion, we can all see that information. And we ask that you please turn your camera on when you are speaking. For members of the public online, please also rename yourself in the Zoom chat so we can see who is in attendance. And you can rename yourself by clicking on the participants button on the bottom of your Zoom screen, hover your mouse over your name, click the three little dots and select to rename yourself. So please observe the way we want to hold space together tonight with this list of meeting agreements. We want to interact respectfully with project staff, working group members, and members of the community. We ask to stay concise, create time for as many voices in the room to contribute as possible, consider the diverse needs of the Mid-City communities, and work to provide inclusive input and resources. We ask to share relevant on-topic perspectives and information and to help maintain a welcoming and inclusive environment that values all perspectives. So for those new to the process, Mid-City is a large area made up of 4 communities: Eastern area, City Heights, Kensington Talmadge, and Normal Heights. And there's 24 neighborhoods within the Mid-City community. All right, so the last update was in 1998, and a lot has changed since then. The primary goals of the plan update are to address regional growth and housing needs, understand the community needs and enhance quality of life, evaluate infrastructure demand, and reduce environmental impact. So we are now in phase 2 of the first draft. And the first draft of the Mid-City Community Plan is anticipated in spring of 2026. Overall, the plan update is scheduled to be a 3-year process. So we have several new documents online at planmidcity.org. including the working group meeting summary and recording from our March 19th meeting, the final draft of the Mid-City Atlas Existing Conditions Report, and the draft ideas report. Another update is there is a boundary line adjustment in the College area and Kensington Talmadge community plan areas. So we have received several public comments and letters from the public and community-based organizations regarding both the draft historic context statement and focus reconnaissance survey report, as well as general plan comments as well. The city's heritage preservation staff is working on a response. We are scheduled to discuss history and place at the next working group meeting. All right, I'll pass it over to Alex to begin the first part.
Thank you, Morgan. Good evening, everyone. Alex Frost, Principal Planner and Project Manager for the Mid-City Communities Plan Update. Today, for the Draft Ideas Report Part 1, I'll quickly go over some of the contents for introduction and sustainability, equity, and climate resilience. The purpose of the Ideas Report is to share ideas and concepts with the public to help further discuss and receive input. The draft explores preliminary mid-city visions, frameworks, and concepts informed by extensive public engagement and existing conditions analysis. Public input to the draft ideas report will help inform the draft community plan. The report contains draft visions, goals, frameworks, concepts, and policies for 6 thematic areas. It also includes renderings, maps, images to help visualize key concepts. Today's meeting focus will be on the introduction, sustainability and resilience, land use and economic prosperity, and goals and frameworks of urban design. We'll be covering the other topics at the next working group meeting. So introduction contains insights from existing conditions report, some of the key findings, summary of engagement activities, draft visions and principles, and the overall framework. Existing conditions analysis were integral to better understanding the past and present and to help develop the preliminary vision, frameworks, and concepts. Some of the key findings since the adoption of 1998 Mid-City Communities Plan, over $2 billion in community investments have been deployed. Meanwhile, Mid-City has experienced a population decline, rising housing costs, and very little new home construction during this period. And one of the biggest findings was that decreased capacity for new homes. Past community plans decreased capacity for new homes by more than 40,000 potential homes along major corridors and neighborhoods due to concerns at the time related to inadequate community facilities and school overcrowding. The population peaked in 2000 and it has been declined by 8.8%, while City of San Diego saw 14.4% increase during the same period. High cost of housing, average home value has grown 2.5 times more than average income in this city between 2000 and 2023, while very few new homes were built during the same period, contributing to regional housing shortage and displacement. One good news is increase in community investment. Since 1998, Mid-City saw over $2 billion in community investments to improve parks, schools, water, sewer, and mobility infrastructure, while witnessing the opening of 2 state-of-the-art community facilities supported by philanthropic efforts, Joan Kroc Community Center and Copley Price YMCA. Some of the key findings from mobility assessment, Mid-City is transit rich, served by 14 MTS bus routes. The highest transit ridership is along El Cajon Boulevard and University Avenue, and also the highest concentration of people walking, rolling, biking is El Cajon Boulevard and University, but also 3 or more pedestrian collisions are concentrated along these corridors. For historic context statement and survey, 4 potential historic districts were identified, 71 potential historical resources were identified, and master plan communities potentially exempt from future historic reviews were identified as well, mostly in Eastern area. Community engagement was integral to the development of preliminary frameworks, visions, and concepts. Key themes that have emerged so far from community engagement process include opportunities for homes and jobs across the city for a variety of incomes, household types, need for safe streets, mobility options for all, maintain, enhance existing parks, new network of open spaces and trails, greening Mid-City with more street trees, and then create a new improved social and commercial hubs. To date, over 2,500 people provided 8,300 plus comments through 85 events and 2 online survey. And if you were at the last meeting, we asked over 1,500 people in Mid-City, describe your ideal vision. And we've translated this directly into draft visions and principle. The overall vision being Mid-City for the people. Clean, safe, thriving communities. Safer green streets for all. Park in every neighborhood. Vibrant, walkable, mixed-use corridors and centers. Celebrate and honor diversity of cultures and places. New affordable homes in every neighborhood. Investment in community infrastructure. Places designed for people. Restoration of creeks and protection of canyons. Innovative business districts support community life. Beautiful, charming, welcoming neighborhoods, and preservation of historical neighborhoods. We have an overall framework for the preliminary vision and concepts. This map highlights key ideas and concepts presented in the report. A little hard to discern in person, perfectly clear on Zoom. One of the proposal is his potential historic districts in Kensington and Talmadge and Normal Heights. For sustainability, equity, and resilience, we've mapped recent and proposed affordable homes and envision a expansion of Terralto Park, a freeway lit park. For land use and economic prosperity, introducing transit villages, corridors, and Main Street, or enhancing existing. And for urban design, enhancing cultural hubs and districts, including potential Somali town. And for mobility, there is a proposed Purple Line alignment and next-gen rapid routes along all the major corridors. And the draft ideas report does introduce a lot of proposed parks, trails, open space, and green corridors. The community vision flows to each element, and this diagram shows that. There may be also more secondary connection that are not shown here. All right, so that concludes my introduction, and I'll just quickly go over sustainability, equity, and climate resilience and some of the key ideas for end goals. For draft goals, development features sustainable and regenerative design, more community gardens and farms to support community health. Affordable homes are abundant and preserved, and community members remain rooted in their communities. Divided neighborhoods are connected. Equitable access to high quality mobility options. Community members are empowered to organize. Natural spaces and buildings are adaptive and resilient, and network of green streets and blue-green infrastructures. The sustainability, equity, and resilience chapter is divided into 3 sections. The sustainable regenerative design is all about enhancing community resilience and quality of life. And Ocean Discovery Institute is the first leadership in energy and environmental design certified platinum in Mid-City. And we'd like to see more of that type of projects. For local food systems, more community gardens and preserved community farms, such as New Roots Community Farm, but also introducing new community gardens in Colina del Sol, Central Avenue Mini Park, Ward Canyon Park, and other locations throughout Mid-City. For affordable homes and minimizing displacement, protecting tenants, preserve and expand. And there's a lot of great projects that's under construction right now, which is 100% subsidized affordable homes. Expanding Terralto Park, transportation justice, build the Purple Line, Urban forestry, more street trees to provide shade, comfort, beauty, and improve environmental quality. And then blue-green infrastructure, nature-based solutions with engineered systems to create robust, adaptable open spaces that can respond more nimbly to future climate pressures while improving habitat provision, water quality, user experience. So this diagram has some of the ideas for building a healthier, more sustainable, and just food system locally and regionally. This maps location of recent under construction and proposed subsidized affordable homes. Over 1,350 affordable homes have been built or are currently under construction or proposed throughout Mid-City. Displacement of people living in Mid-City is a significant community concern. Regulations currently exist that are intended to protect tenants and preserve and expand affordable housing. There is a tenant protection regulations, which provides protection for existing renters at risk of displacement, dwelling unit replacement, which requires homes removed by development be replaced. And then there is a citywide inclusionary housing ordinance, which requires affordable homes are created for new development at 10% of any new market rate projects. Reconnecting communities to this is a rendering of expanded Terralta Park. So part of the 1984 Mid-City Plan, one of the biggest idea was 7-block long freeway lid park. And community fought really hard to get 1 block. And this plan re-envisions that opportunities, and now the freeway lid parks are being built all over the country. Terralta Park is the first one built in California, I believe. So this is the idea for that. For transportation justice, again, the purple line, creating high quality north-south connection. So enhance access to jobs, education, healthcare, and regional destination. There are 2 station options proposed in City Heights, and we want to continue to center community voices, reflecting public's demand for reliable transit. For climate resilience, urban forestry, so expanding our street trees, for environmental, physical, social, and economic benefits. The thick green line refers to specific street tree list that is identified in the ideas report. The thinner green line refers to street tree selection guide that's available for citywide projects. And then the rest, there's no parkway that currently exists or has palm trees. Climate resilience and blue and green infrastructure. Green street and creek restoration concepts are identified in the ideas report to mitigate any future flooding that has impacted this community recently. And finally, climate resilience. There are several nature-based solutions with engineered systems for climate resilience, and these solutions are identified in the ideas report. So in terms of key policies, promoting community health, implementing green infrastructure, improve stormwater management, and plant trees, and convert impervious surfaces to permeable areas, and enhance community education on sustainability and conservation. There's additional policies related to heat resilience design strategies, cooling strategies, and development of community-led resilience hub in Mid-City. So now I'm going to pass it on to Morgan for working group discussion. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. So we will now hear from the working group members. For those members of the public who have comments and questions, please hold on to those thoughts. We will get to the public comment period at the end of the meeting. For now, we will take about 2 minutes for the working group members, for as many folks as we can get through. We are a little ahead of schedule, so I think it's okay if we go a little bit over our initial 20-minute block. But I will be keeping track of time. We may not get to everyone, but we will make sure to start with folks in the next round who didn't get a chance to share this round. So please consider the questions at the top of this slide as a prompt. And yeah, I'll start with any working group members in the room, and then we'll turn over to working group members online. Yes, David.
The nexus between green streets and transit, there needs to be trees next to bus stops. I've talked to MTS about this. They say it's responsibility of the city. I talked to the city about it. They say MTS objects. When you were out there at the bus waiting for the bus stop and it's early in the morning, there was no shade. And I've gone downtown, and by the time I got on the bus, I'd already soaked through my dress shirt. This is something that needs to be taken care of. You mentioned community empowerment. I think one of the key things to community empowerment is have a central place for the community to go. That can often be a neighborhood park, and you do mention a park in every neighborhood. It also can be a neighborhood serving commercial area. And that also needs to be our sources of community empowerment, as businesses often are the root of any neighborhood leadership. And communities that don't have these things tend to get pushed aside and ignored.
Thank you for your comment. Is there anyone else who would have a comment at this time in person? Yes.
Morgan, sorry to interrupt. We did not hear you.
We apologize to the online folks. We just realized that this microphone is not working. So just give us one moment while we figure out that technical difficulty. Thank you.
I believe this is working correctly.
Yes, that sounds good. Thanks.
So I'll just go ahead and
We lost the audio again.
Right. Testing. I'm going to try this again. My name is Nam Nguyen. I'm from City Heights, and just start from all over from the beginning. I appreciate the inclusion and importance of trees and trees for the neighborhood and urban forestry. The suggestion that I have, if it's within the purview of this plan, is to include specific provisions for the placement of shade structures throughout the neighborhood as a near-term solution as the urban forestry essentially grows into place, as the needs of the community will be far more immediate and need to be addressed faster than simply waiting for it to grow into appropriate size. And then I have a question in regards to the plan, if there are provisions or statements available to specifically promote the installation of renewable energies and renewable energy storage in the community as a matter climate change, to address climate change and also to address community resilience in the face of changing climate conditions.
Thank you for your comment and for your patience with the microphone issue. Would anyone else in the room like to comment on what we've heard so far from the general overview or the sustainability equity climate chapter? Yes, please go ahead.
Is this mic? Oh, yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Morgan. My name's Madeline Baudouin, in the community of Normal Heights. Thank you for the presentation. I'll just echo, you know, the opportunities for shade structures throughout the community plan. I think it's very important to all of the communities. And again, opportunities to foster community connection. I think that's important to the community as a whole. One question I have, and I don't know, is this a time for questions or just comment? Is it okay if I ask a question or should I hold off?
You can ask a question, and if we don't have the answer in the moment, we can make it part of the record and respond to it in the meeting minutes.
Sure, thank you. I just have a question about the purple line. Many elders in the Mid-City community remember in the early 70s displacement that occurred with the I-15 corridor. And I saw the dotted line, but I'm not really familiar exactly where that route is going to go and what type of displacement would occur as a result.
So I can answer that question, Alex Frost. Sandag has studied, conducted an alignment study, and they're looking at either underground or grade separated, basically going below Fairmont Avenue. So a minimal displacement, I would imagine. However, the potential cost projection is very high. So unless tunneling technology improves significantly, you know, we're going to be waiting a while, but there are some promising signs. So I hope that answers your question.
That does. Thank you so much. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead, sir.
Hi, my name is Paul Smith, and I'm in El Cerrito, which is part of the eastern portion of this. Kind of going with the theme about urban forestry. Currently, the San Diego Forestry Department has a grant-fed program called Ready, Set, Grow, and significant tracks exist in the City Heights and Oak Park area. And I just want to make sure that's already going on. So whatever plan we do is in alignment. They've already have their own tree selection. I'm not sure if it's the same as what's being proposed, but that is already off the ground, which is pretty cool. So it'll jumpstart on the trees growing quickly. And the second one goes back to the Charlton, the cap. I know they proposed it and they fought to build part of it. I watched like a YouTube video from like 10 years ago where they really struggled. I'm curious as to what roadblocks, if they're still there, the same roadblocks to potentially expanding it to the full 7 blocks, because not only is that creating more green space, parks, it's kind of like solves a lot of, you know, the need for that community. Thank you.
So I think the primary roadblock is just funding and cost of building the freeway lid. It is not cheap. However, you know, with advancement in AI and robotics and that moving into infrastructure, you could start to imagine, you know, they've 3D printed a bridge, for example. So there is a possibility of new technological improvements that actually makes it more feasible to build a freeway lid park, because there's a demand for this in every city in the United States, and every major city has a proposal for a freeway lid park. Actually building one is much more of a challenge.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, Brittany, go ahead.
Now we're out.
Can you hear me now? Hello, everybody. I'm Brittany Paggiolo. Hello. My question is for the parks and green spaces. Not that we don't already have enough of those in the area. What's being done as far as keeping the restrooms open and cleaned, for, the people? I've noticed that, Adams Avenue Park, Hollywood Park, Terralta Park, and the skate park, all of those bathrooms closed and not in working order, for the children and the residents of the areas. I just listed 1, 2, 3, 4 parks. Is that gonna happen to these new parks that we're planning on building and opening up? That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. Yeah, we'll have to check with our park planners to find out more about that issue.
Thank you for your comment. I see you have your hand up again. I want to make sure everyone has a chance to speak first before we have people speak a second time, but hold on to your thought. If anyone else in the room has a comment, yes, and then we'll move to online folks shortly.
Is this working? Yes. All right. This is Thomas Aristide from Normal Heights. I just wanted to echo while altruistic and excellent sounding, the park lid over the freeway has already sort of fumbled due to funding. So I guess the question is, are there other alternative funding mechanisms that can be discussed or proposed in the community plan, whether it be supported by developmental costs or maintenance agreements for developers to help fund that, and or state funding, because yes, it is a substantial cost. And then one other note on the Purple Line, at least per the December 2024 executive summary, it sounds like it's not a light rail. It is a heavy rail, which is a third line or a third rail facility. And there was a point on one of the slides that said it was light rail. I just figured that you might not want to include that. So
Noted, and we can explore the potential implementation mechanism. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Yes, please go ahead.
Victor Ponce, live in Normal Heights, work in City Heights. Just echoing whatever you're saying about the park, Terralta Park, would love to see that, as well as the shading with the trees. For slide 26, the homes, I'd love to see that there's affordable homes to minimize the displacement, but seeing that they're all within City Heights, essentially, wanting to see the other communities also step up, including my community, right, of Normal Heights and all the others, to have some more homes along those as well. Especially Adams. I know the focus seems to be at the corridors, but you also have Adams, the big corridor.
Thank you for that comment. All right, anyone in the room who hasn't had a chance to speak yet have a comment? Yes, Randy, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Randy Torres Van Vleck, and I'm a resident of City Heights. Welcome to the Global Village Event Hall. Exciting site of the future Global Village that PANA is developing with community partners. That was represented in the plan. We appreciate that. And thank you to the staff for being available to meet and really incorporating the feedback from the community into the draft vision and principles. I feel like it is representative of what we've heard over the years from community members who want dignified transit, who want affordable housing, who want anti-displacement strategies, although I know we didn't get too much into the policy side of things, but I know that that's been a priority, who want housing for all, expansion of Terralta Park, Purple Line, Rapid Lines, walkability. So it was great to see that. I also want to lift up something that I know community members here tonight will mention, and that's in regards to the creation of cultural districts. So thanks for meeting with PANA a couple of weeks ago to talk about the creation of the Somali Town Cultural District. This is an idea that's been discussed for over about 15 years now. I'll have a letter here that I'll distribute to the members that shows some visuals, but the 50th University area is the center. You'll hear tonight again for the Somali community in many ways, economically, culturally. There's been improvements over the years, such as artwork, walkability, and so to have a cultural district that speaks to the unique history of the Somali diaspora, which in San Diego is, I believe, the fourth largest in the country. That's important, right? That's important for cultural representation, anti-displacement strategy as well. So we appreciate you incorporating that. We do ask that it be extended a bit further east to Choyas Parkway, which would include this project here, the Global Village site, and all the way to Estrella Avenue. So thank you for incorporating that. And again, I appreciate all the other ideas that are in the report. This is the bold vision that we need, I think, to create a walkable community that's transit oriented. And I see the foundations for housing for all. I want to get more into that and get more into the specifics. Looking forward as well to the Choyas Triangle Park that will be developed adjacent to this project here, 9-acre Creekside Park. The blue-green infrastructure is important, it's critical because the water all flows to the most impacted community. So thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you, Randy. All right, anyone else before? Yes, please go ahead.
No. That.
I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand up. Please go ahead, Zach.
Can you hear me? Just with regards to like parks and opportunities for parks, the cap idea is awesome. I love it. I wish we had the money tomorrow. I'd like to propose another one down across the 94, to stitch together kind of the MTM campus on the north side. But in lieu of that, I feel like there's a lot of more room for like low hanging fruit along canyon edges, behind houses. There's lots of open space where you could do beautiful nature walks, connect up and down the hills and the mesas. Rolando Village is a good example of that on a smaller scale. It's not quite as steep, but they've got a ton of paseos in between all the houses that kind of make it feel less like a bunch of cul-de-sacs or loops. So just more of those ideas on the existing canyon edges and mesas that we do have, I think would be really awesome.
Thank you for your comment. It's your turn.
Hi, this is Eric Kelly. I'm in El Cerrito right here. So yeah, it was fun that this is walking distance from my house. I'm about 2 blocks away. So I just want to say I like a lot of aspects of this plan. I do want to echo that I see a lot of the affordable housing is concentrated in City Heights, and I think it should be more spread out. Maybe that just is what's happening, recent or under construction or proposed, but I think it needs to be spread out more. I also think anything built in City Heights should, along University or El Cajon and other major corridors, should really be mixed use. I think there's a lot of potential for a vibrant commercial district building on what's already there. And if we just put in residential without storefronts on the first level, I think it's a huge missed opportunity to have thriving businesses in our neighborhood. I think we should be endeavoring to make it so people can live above their own businesses, and own a business on the ground floor and live right above it. That's successful in cities around the world. I think we should be looking. I'm sure we'll talk more about the commercial zoning at the next meeting, but we should be looking for micro businesses. Think markets in Tokyo or other places where you have really small storefronts with vibrant businesses, mini restaurants, mini bars, where people who are fresh to this country without a lot of capital, frankly, can start a business with minimal square footage and whatnot. And I think we could facilitate that with some smart zoning and planning. I also just want to echo what I've said before. I'm all for transit and I'm all for pedestrian and I'm all for biking, but 87% of the neighborhood does drive. And I don't want to set up a situation where other neighborhoods in the city have plenty of parking and are able to have the economic benefits of owning a car. And this neighborhood isn't, because we've decided not to build parking. or to build a lot of affordable housing without enough parking for the residents. I'm in construction management. I have a huge heart for blue collar workers, and they need their work trucks and they need to be able to park at their house. It's just how it is. I don't see that changing. And white collar workers need to be able to drive typically to work as well. And that, I don't see that changing either. Despite, some people working from home and this or that. So I do just want to, with, California going all electric cars in, 2035, I think, it would be foolish to not put enough parking, in high density areas. We need the density. I definitely welcome the density, but we need to have enough parking. All right, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Eric. We do need to move on. Sorry, I want to pass it over to Aparna to see if there's any working group members online that would like to comment before we move on, and then maybe we can take that last comment from you, Nam. So Aparna, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Morgan. I see one working group member attending virtually today. Emily, if you would like to add any comments, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hi, no comments at this point. Thank you.
Thanks, Emily. Back over to you, Morgan.
Okay, great. Thank you. Nam, I'll go ahead and give you the chance to speak, and then we're going to move on to the next section.
Thank you. This is Nam Nguyen from City Heights again. I wanted to echo the statements from Eric Kelly about shopkeeper units and the importance of providing small scale entrepreneurial opportunities to provide the incubation for future commercial development in the mid-city area. I would like to make a comment about the sustainable local food system for particularly the diversified food production. I commend the document for having this as an opportunity for the mid-city area, particularly City Heights, that will likely be more developed, to have opportunities for rooftop farms, for balcony food production. But to reiterate the point, it'll be important to have that be an allowed zoning permission for the area, so that it is something that residents can do by right in the mid-city area. And then also just received a document from City Heights CDC regarding equity. And one point I would like to make about the equity is to consider what some of the work that's been done with the Barrio Logan update in regards to preserving the local residents by providing aspects such as first right of refusal for new developments. They have the first crack at leasing or purchasing new units that have been developed in their area, and also preferential possibilities for preferential choice for locals in the immediate area for new development as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for your comments. We do have a lot to cover tonight, so we're going to move into the next section so we can get to the next piece. I'll pass it back over to you, Alex.
Thank you, Morgan. All right, moving on to part 2 of the presentation. We'll be talking about land use and economic prosperity. The land use chapter is organized around draft goals, land use framework, 5 land use concepts. These are potential change areas, very high level, to foster discussion and some key policies. For the land use and economic prosperity draft goals, develop compact, walkable, transit-oriented neighborhoods with a mix of employment, housing, and services, a cohesive, high-quality development pattern along Elkhorn Boulevard and University Avenue, a diverse range of housing types, vibrant local economy, and preserve employment lands, for manufacturing, logistics, warehousing, and other employment uses. The land use chapter is divided into 3 sections. Place types, it's a broad description of future change areas. Transit village, transit corridor, main street, transit neighborhood, and residential. And building types describe different buildings and uses that could exist in some of these places. And we have 5 distinctly different high-level maps of potential change areas, which we'll discuss in detail. The transit village is mixed-use urban community villages with commercial office and highest density of residential and employment uses. The transit corridor is mixed-use corridors with commercial office, very high or medium density residential, and other uses oriented along corridors with high quality transit. Main Street is more of mixed-use urban and community. Main streets have smaller scale developments with a stronger focus on transition to surrounding neighborhoods with high and medium density residential and employment uses. And really this describes Adams Avenue. In transit neighborhood and residential, medium and low density residential with corner stores, access to transit jobs, and neighborhood serving uses within walking distance. And all the other areas in kind of gray or without color is areas of little or no change, including single family and other low density residential areas, schools, and other civic and public land and parks and canyons. This is just an example of building types and uses for the proposed change areas. Obviously, the transit villages have more higher density, taller buildings, and that goes down gradually as you go to transit corridors, Main Street, and transit neighborhoods and residential, where it's more townhomes, row homes, 3-story apartment buildings. Some of the key considerations for the land use concepts. It's a high-level framework. It's a very simple land use concepts to amplify potential benefits, trade-offs, and insight. It also explores multiple possibilities, a variety of meaningfully different concepts to help community explore various ways it can change. It's based on diverse input and incorporates various community priorities from phase 1 in public engagement. It's data informed with analysis of past, present, and future conditions, and it's evolving. So multiple iterations are expected through community conversations. So this is just the first ideas or a sketch. The developmental land use concepts were informed by extensive engagement and analysis of existing conditions. Striking a balanced approach between these considerations is important. And what we mean by this is that we have to look at sustainability, equity, climate resilience, so the topography, the open space, fire and flood zones, fair housing consideration, climate smart areas, smart growth considerations. So the question being, how do we grow to be more sustainable, equitable, and climate resilient? Followed by land use, urban design, and mobility factors like existing land use, existing lot types, urban design, the walk score, the transit score, the bike score, what's the adopted plan land uses, what's the existing zoning, what's the existing transit, what's the future transit investments. So trying to answer, how do we grow to support a more affordable, walkable, bikeable, and transit-rich neighborhoods? And finally, looking at parks and public facilities. What are the existing parks and recreational facilities, schools, and walkability to public facilities? So how do we grow to support existing and future parks, schools, and public facilities? So starting with the first land use concept, we call this concept transit village corridors and neighborhoods. It focuses growth along activity hubs, transit corridors, and neighborhoods. It's very high and high density intensity along corridors and transit villages. It does reintroduce a mix of housing options in multifamily and some single family areas. So urban transit village right in the Mid-City, City Heights core. And urban transit village proposed along the State Route 94 corridors have very high and high potential density. Transit corridors proposed with high density. And east of 54th is a transit corridor as well, but with more medium and high density to align with the college area land use proposal. Urban Main Street for Adams Avenue, medium and high density, and Community Main Street for Poplar Street at a medium potential density, intensity, and transit neighborhoods. So this is residential medium, more row homes, townhomes, 3-story walk-up apartments. And then finally, hang on. Yeah, so those are the initial concepts for land use 1. Land use 2 is exactly the same except for one difference. It proposes additional changes in high and moderate resource opportunity areas to affirmatively further fair housing. And that's the residential low 3 up in Normal Heights, north of Adams and Kensington Talmadge. You can see the yellow. So what we're proposing here is that right now, these areas are about 9 dwelling units per acre, single family zone. And we're saying, why not 14 or 15 dwelling units per acre? And what this means is it just allows a duplex by right on an average 6,000 square foot lot. So not a huge change, but a change nonetheless. Land use concept 3. So this is a concept that replicates the general land use approach from the 1980s. It focuses growth at less overall density along activity hubs, corridors, and neighborhoods. It does reintroduce a mix of housing options that were allowed in the 1980s, and there are some changes to single family areas. So transit villages are at high density or medium high density, followed by transit corridor, medium high. Urban Main Street is lower to medium. Popular Street would be Community Main Street with medium potential density, and then transit neighborhoods at residential medium low. And finally, there's a larger residential change areas, which would allow duplex by right. And this was allowed back in the 1980s. So in your neighborhoods, you may see like a 4-plex or a walk-up apartments. So that is why, because back in early 80s, these uses were allowed in all the residential low areas. Land use concept 4 is all about distributed growth. It distributes potential for new homes equally to everyone. It's the most equitable in a sense that everybody absorbs a new capacity for homes. It is the lowest density residential outside of transit neighborhoods and reintroduces a mix of multi-housing options everywhere. So the same density intensity as land use concept 3, but just all the residential areas are proposed to change or updating the land use designation to be specific. Finally, land use concept 3. So this concept is just the corridors and hubs, highest density intensity along corridors and villages, no change to most of multifamily and single family areas. And this may minimize displacement in the residential areas. So the transit villages are the highest land use density, and same with transit corridors, just throughout a high density range. And then Urban Main Street on Adams at the high density, Popular Street, Community Main Street at medium and high. So that's the 5 land use concepts. They're distinctly different, and these maps are provided for discussion. It's the preliminary concepts and ideas, and it does not reflect any final or adopted plans. In terms of key policies here for further exploration, discouraging self-storage, billboards, tire shop, mechanic, car storage, and drive-through uses along major transit corridors, more corner stores and markets, and neighborhood serving retail uses and residential area, prioritizing home types that meets the needs of families with children and intergenerational families, new transit, more stock of affordable for sale homes, encouraging development of affordable housing on public lands, exploring opportunities for single room occupancy structures, transitional housing and shelters, promoting home ownership programs, community land trusts, and other co-living opportunities, and promoting all housing types in a manner that affirmatively furthers fair housing. So that concludes the land use section. It was a lot of information. I'm going to quickly go over just a few key points in urban design, and we can start the working group discussion. So for the draft goals for urban design, thriving walkable transit villages, corridors, Main Street, beautiful, authentic, and artistic pedestrian-oriented public and private spaces. Mid-City reflect and celebrate the cultural diversity and heritage. Streets are safe, clean, and accessible, and neighborhoods are seamlessly connected. And urban design framework, I'll just touch on this section only. This map highlights key ideas and concepts presented in this chapter or urban design chapter. So really there's three major lot types that we've identified. The first is the grid, smaller blocks with some alley access. It's very walkable and transit accessible. A lot of the lots are 6,000 to 7,000 square feet and strong pattern north and south and east and west. It's very just connected. And these are the older development areas from the 1920s, followed by super blocks. These are large lots over 1 acre, singular pattern lot dimension, highly connected to commercial and transit corridors, but it's a hybrid of some walkability, but auto-oriented development patterns. And finally, commercial centers. These are the largest lots. It's a gateways and activity hubs. It's very auto-oriented. So we identified 7 different study areas to kind of zoom in and look in more depth of some of the concepts that's been identified. And these 8 study areas provide a high-level concepts related to land use, urban design, mobility, and public space, including the Mid-City Center, Marketplace at Grove, Federal Boulevard and Euclid, El Cajon and 54th, El Cajon and College, El Cajon Boulevard between Montezuma and 73rd Street, and University Avenue from 54th to 69th Street and Adams Avenue. Additional study areas are being considered, and there'll be further refinements based on community feedback and technical analysis. So these study areas will be discussed further at upcoming planning groups in the next working group meetings. Finally, just wanted to highlight cultural hubs in district, existing and potential. Right now, we have Little Saigon Cultural District in Mid-City, and as it was mentioned earlier, there's a strong support for a Somali town cultural hub. And also there is an emerging Latin American cultural hub on University Avenue between 37th and 39th Street, and as well as the proposed refugee and immigrant cultural hub at this site today. So as the plan update progresses, we'll be exploring more about these concepts. All right, and I'm going to turn it over to Morgan and stop talking now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. So that was a lot to cover. We anticipate a full discussion. We're still a little bit ahead of time, but because we want to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak, we will be limiting you to 2 minutes, and I will be cutting people off at 2 minutes if they need to go over. For members of the public, again, we will get to the public comment period next, but if you're interested in speaking, please grab a comment card from the front where you walked in, and we will be collecting those next. So to begin with the working group members in the room, again, anyone like to start off? Yes, Zach.
Zach here. So I'd like to ask how Senate Bill 79, or whatever the new California state law that they're putting through or just put through, I think, interacts with the urban design guides that are going into this plan. As I understand it, that bill authorizes up to 9 stories of development within a certain distance of the transit. So how does that interact with the plan that we have laid out here for the different design guidelines?
So SB 79, it hasn't passed, it hasn't been approved at the state legislature level, but we're monitoring it and we'll know more if it does get passed. But my understanding right now is that it's mostly around light rails and heavy rails and transit bus routes with dedicated lanes. But I need to look into it more. Yeah. No more? Okay, well, we may have public comments on that a little
I
bit.
thought it was any bus line that's like 15 minutes or something, but
Yeah, I need to
could be
look into
mistaken.
it. Yeah, thanks.
And can I add a comment? When it comes to the development design guidelines that you do have laid out, I think probably concept 3 or concept 4 is the most balanced in my opinion. Concept 5, where you focus all of the density on the main boulevards and then none of it in the surrounding blocks, just seems insane to me. I mean, if you ever Google an image of Toronto from overhead, it's like skyscrapers that are 15 stories and then single family homes 1 block over. It makes 0 sense. It's not pleasant for anyone. If you're in a car, on a bike, like any mode, it sucks. And I think if they're going to talk about building a heavy rail line through City Heights, then some of that medium density should probably be extended into the inner blocks. It doesn't make sense to me to have 5 stories on El Cajon and then a bungalow 1 block off El Cajon and then another 5 stories on University 2 blocks over. And
You are at your 2 minutes, so I'm going to move on, but thank you for your comment. Would anyone like to follow up? Yes, Eric.
So looking here on page 72, on the list of items discouraged, one was car storage. Could you elaborate on what is car storage? Is that like auto dealerships or is it parking garages or?
I think it's the used car dealerships that is peppered along El Cajon Boulevard, especially.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with discouraging that. But I do think as far as parking, we want to, if people from other neighborhoods want to drive and spend their money in our neighborhood, we want to make it easy for them. Yeah, so a big parking garage like there is in North Park or something, just one to encourage people to drive in and eat at our restaurants and whatnot, I think would be a good thing.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, Nam.
So to a point, to echo the point about concept 5, concept 5 will be the one that most likely leads to displacement of persons. If there are restrictions as intense as concept 5 to only develop along those areas, that will be where all the development is. And then the remaining housing stock in the area will just become that much more expensive. And then the entire area will just rise in cost, and then it'll be similar to what we're seeing in North Park and Hillcrest, where we're seeing large concentrations of towers and development, but not as much development in the rest of the neighborhoods, and that just contributes to the cost of housing in those areas. In regards to the key policies regarding corner stores, markets, and neighborhoods serving retail in residential areas, I commend that concept and policy. The residential areas should have areas that have commercial uses, cafes, pizza parlors, what have you, to act as nexus points for the community to interact and gather together in addition to parks. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have another comment in the room? Yes, David, go ahead.
David Modi. So there are a lot of things I need to talk about. Some of them were said previously. When it comes to deeded affordable housing, there seems to be a misconception that City Heights is carrying the bulk of that burden. But if you take the numbers and prorate them by population, the proportion of deeded affordable housing in Kensington Talmadge equals and even exceeds the ratio of City Heights. It's Eastern area and particularly Normal Heights that are not carrying the full burden. In fact, Kensington Talmadge has housing for previously homeless people with medical issues, including mental issues, some of the most difficult housing to source or to site, and we have that in our community. Moderate resource is still on the bottom half of the opportunity scoring system. As one person said it to me, moderate resource is just on its way to being low resource. Remember, there's high and highest resource above that. It just doesn't exist in mid-city. Concept 5 is the proposal I support most fully because it has an existing community consensus behind it. And it'll actually lead to the least displacement because most of those transit corridors have no housing on them already. So there are no housed people to be displaced. You'll be creating entirely new housing on what's mostly underutilized commercial sites. Corner stores. As someone who regularly walks to do their shopping, I don't need corner stores. I need a grocery store that has all the options in it. Now, if you're thinking corner store as in the neighborhood serving commercial with, you know, a variety of uses, the coffee shop, the barber shop, the dry cleaners, absolutely, that is something we need and something that should be put onto the 4400 block of Euclid Avenue in Talmadge.
Thank you. Right on time. Do we have another member of the public, or sorry, another working group member who would like to speak at the table? Yes, please go ahead.
Hi, my name is Di. I represent Kensington Talmadge. I also just want to echo part of what David is saying about the vacancies in lots. There are a lot of lots that are vacant currently, and we need to look at that and put that into the data, make sure the data is reflective of that, because there are a lot of homes that can be used, but sometimes they aren't. And there is a housing crisis, so we need to look at all the vacancies that we already have as well.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Brittany, go ahead.
Sorry, everybody. I would like to second David and I. David, you were so on point. If I could repeat everything you just said, it made so much sense. High rises, I would not vote for that in City Heights at all. I think our housing situation that's going on and that has been going on over here should be put at the forefront. The displacement in our area, there are still hundreds of people that are displaced from City Heights that still have not been housed yet. And I continue to see these people on a daily basis, and they're looking at me like, Brittany, when? I hate to tell them 2 years from now, because they've already been outside almost 10. You know what I mean? So Di, speaking on housing that's not being utilized, that's sickening. When there's resources that are here right now today that can assist our residents in our areas. So thank you guys again for speaking on that topic.
Thank you for your comment. Yes, please go ahead, Madeline.
Hi, this is Madeline. I think I'll just say again, you know, I think the elders in the community-wide, the memories of the displacement that took place during the I-15 corridor. So I would be, you know, supportive of whatever plan creates the least amount of displacement. There are memories, and I think community-wide throughout Mid-City of that displacement that took place in the early 70s. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Anyone else in the room? Yes, please go ahead, Paul.
Hi, again, this is Paul. Couple of things I'm going to bounce around a little bit. So under key policies, under one of the things we should probably discourage, I would say would be smoke shops. I think that's the one thing we actually have too many of. And particularly their proximity to schools, churches like that. So if that could be added, that would be great. Still on key policies, I know you didn't go over them, but some of the case studies you have for the different types of structures that are, you know, in our community that represent the different potentials. One exists at it's the Path building. And you call out single room occupancy structures, transitional housing and shelters. So at 54th in El Cajon, technically it's El Cerrito North, so it's part of the college planning group. I think that might be looking at that to see what the community thinks of it, how it's only been there a year. The information when they put that building in was 12 years old, so not really relevant, really, post-COVID. So maybe that could be looked at as a case study. And then when it comes to 1 through 5, most of them, all of them except for 5 say to align with the college plan. The college plan is further along than we are now. It has significant growth in their area, especially along El Cajon Boulevard. So I think option 5, in which we say would be more, I think it's a terrible idea. 3 and 4, I agree with Zach. It's a little bit more balanced and equitable. At the same time, the college area lacks key resources that they clearly have to lean on the neighboring communities for. They don't have a fire department. I believe the campus does, but that's the campus. They don't have a police substation or anything like that. So really, with the amount of growth that they're looking at doing, they're going to actually need resources from, you know, the mid-city group too. So something to consider when we're thinking about building so much residential along the corridor, in particularly the corridor that borders the college area.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, just again, reiterating the housing. I know like I would be very curious as to just to follow up with like David in terms of like where the, I don't know if it's like a matter of like City Heights, right? Like at least I'm going back to the map where El Cajon Boulevard is a boundary line for City Heights, but they're being built just right on the other side of it. So it's not technically City Heights, but in my mind, I think a lot of others it is. So that's like with Price, the Cuatro, same here, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, Randy, but there's housing going here. And this is technically not City Heights, but it's serves City Heights community members. So just keeping that in mind as well as we look at that, and even just looking at we're talking about percentages within like the denominator. I think if you're building 1 and you have 100, you're growing your 1%. But if you're growing 1 and you have the denominator of 1,000 rate of housing, then you're growing 0.1%. So just keeping that in mind as well. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Victor. Randy, please go ahead.
Thanks to the staff for developing this range of concepts to discuss as it relates to the land use. Appreciate that. Helps to frame the discussion. I prefer the land use concept 4, the distributed growth. That's I think the most equitable as it spreads housing opportunities throughout mid-city, including the high resource areas. You know, working class low-income folks also deserve the opportunity to be able to afford to live in high resource communities like along Adams Avenue. And I appreciate that land use 4 does that. David, thanks for that analysis. I appreciate that. I'm curious too, building on Victor's point, how those numbers would stand if you looked at north of Meade Avenue. And so I'd be curious to know, you know, have there been deed restricted affordable homes north of Meade and what that would look like? Because I think we could use some more along Adams, Poplar. There are certain streets that we could use more affordable housing. And I think the goal overall is to create more mixed income neighborhoods because we know sociological data shows that creates most upward mobility for folks and creates some of the healthiest, truly diverse neighborhoods that create social capital for a community. So I'm leaning towards the land use concept 4, and I appreciate also the discouraging some of the harmful uses. The rapid rise of the self-storage facilities is a concern. They've been happening along walkable transit corridors, El Cajon Boulevard, University Avenue, 52nd University across the street here. Those are missed development opportunities to create walkability. So hopefully we can have a policy that has some teeth as it relates to that new trend. Thank you.
Do you see your hand up? But I want to make sure everyone has the first chance to comment before we do second rounds, including the online folks. If anyone who hasn't spoken during this round of discussion yet would like to speak at the table here, otherwise I'll turn it over to the online folks. So yeah, I'm going to pass it over to you, Aparna. And if there might still be time left and we can come back to folks at the table.
Thank you, Morgan. Emily, do you have any feedback on the second part of the presentation? Okay. Guess not. That will be all. Back over to you, Morgan.
Thanks, Aparna. Alrighty. Yeah, so we do have time. I'll give you back the microphone.
Okay, this is Eric Kelly, again from El Cerrito. Just because I think options 1 through 4, would increase density from existing use to what's called transit neighborhood and residential, with the description medium and low density residential with corner stores, access to transit, jobs, and neighborhood serving uses within walking distance. Could you elaborate on specifically what kind of density we're talking about? Like what's the vertical limit, and or how many units in a property, or just things like that? I'm just curious what exactly that means.
For which land use concept?
So it's 1 through 4, everything except, option 5, which kind of keeps things the same. If you live off of the major corridors, you're likely being like I do, you're going to be upzoned to that peach color. And I'm just wondering, so what exactly is that? What does that mean in real life? What's going in next door to me?
Yeah.
Once this gets implemented, right? And my neighbor wants to cash in. Right.
Yeah. So what we're discussing is just updating the land use designation. So just want to clarify that it doesn't force anyone to build anything. Again, if your neighbor decides to cash out or just sell his property and someone else can come in, and in theory, they could, instead of just a single family, they could build a fourplex, for example. That's or a 3-story walk-up apartments for the higher transit neighborhoods. But most of what we're talking about is, fourplex, and duplex, maybe townhomes, row homes, more of the community neighborhood supporting type of housing types is what's being envisioned in a lot of the concepts.
So can you give an example of an existing neighborhood with this current density? Would it be like North Park? I'm talking about the orange color, the orange.
Oh, the orange.
Yeah, sorry.
The transit neighborhood.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it depends on the lot size. But there are, I guess, some examples in North Park that could be equated. But like sixplex, like walk up where there's a 6 unit. And we have examples of different density types in the ideas report, with a lot of the local building types in your neighborhoods that you might recognize. So that may be the guide, and it has all kinds of different density ranges. So it really depends on the lot size and types of development that you see. So
Would you be going over the 30-foot height limit?
it depends on the concept. Yes, if it's a higher, like a high or medium high, then it would be more than 3 stories. Yes, potentially.
Okay. So I guess the examples of orange would be like a multiplex. I'm just looking at the examples, or a townhome or a row house. Anything more than that, you get more into the light purple, right? Or walk-ups, stacked units. Okay, I'm seeing it now. All right, thanks.
No problem.
Yes, Brittany, go ahead.
Thank you. So I was going over some information from the TAEA task force, which I am a part of. And it's clearly reminding me of what I actually stated earlier about now, what could we do today to get things moving right along? Lighting, enhancing the lighting at bus stops in areas like Rosa Parks and Home Avenue. The ADA and infrastructure repairs, grades and repairs to sidewalks, especially near apartments, Azalea Park and Cherokee. Adding ADA compliant crossings and lightings near bus stops and high traffic areas. Since we talk about, walking and biking a lot here in our groups, there should be more strict guidelines for, keeping the people safe in our area as well. I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. I would speak on businesses, but I do not currently own one, so it's kind of out of my scope. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Brittany. Yes, David, we can now do second rounds, by the way, if anyone would like to speak again. We have some extra time.
So I know we're talking about the density of the potential upzoning of the single family areas. Do remember though, that with the ADU program, you have 54 units per acre. So why would you need to upzone to 14 when you already have 54 through the ADU program? Now the ADU program at least guarantees that you're at 30 feet and that you're within the FAR limit for the lot and you have the regular setbacks and you're more likely to keep the home that's there already. So it fits in with the neighborhood. So, I mean, why upzone when you've got 54 units per acre with the ADU program?
Thank you for your comment. And would you like a chance to respond to that or flag as part of the public record? We'll respond at another time. And did I see your hand up, Zach? Yeah, please go ahead.
Zach here. So thinking again that this is a long-term 20, 25, maybe 30 years. You said 1998 was the last time it was done, right? I would like to think about two ideas that go into the design concepts for the district, which is other cities have height limits on their developments. Washington, D.C.'s height limit is 130 feet or the width of the adjacent street. And if you've ever been there, very pleasant, lots of natural light, air flow. It's still very dense for transit, well oriented. It's a nice place. And then when it comes to parking, I love parking. I drive a lot too, like the rest of us. But I would like to suggest the idea of a parking study for the district before we allow parking garages being built all over the place. In my experience, one of the downsides of DC is that a lot of the new urbanist oriented kind of designs that have gone into a lot of these areas, like in this plan is suggested for the shopping center down the street or this choice triangle that we're sitting in, or some of the other high density spots where you showed redesigned and expanded roadways, is that it's kind of drive-through urbanism. People show up in their cars and they park in a huge parking garage and then they go upstairs and shop in Target. It's the suburbs, but vertical. And it makes for not a great experience for either person. If you're in a car, it sucks because you have to sit in traffic to get to a parking garage, which isn't a huge improvement over what we have now. And if you're not in a car, you're walking past gigantic empty buildings half filled with cars. And that space that could be used for housing, that could be used for businesses, that could be used for any number of things, especially in the transit districts where we're talking about probably spending billions of dollars on a purple line 25, 30 years from now. It does not make sense to me to allow building a ton of parking near a high capacity transit corridor when you're going to give that land up to people who aren't going to use the transit in the first place. So, and then also with parking, I think we should look at residential permits when parking becomes an issue in certain neighborhoods where we have North Park, for example. I lived in North Park for a lot of years. If there was residential parking permits in North Park, it would be amazing, because if you live there, you can park on your street. And if you don't, you can park there for 2 hours and then leave. Go eat at dinner and then leave. That's what you do. You go out to your store, you have dinner, and then you go home. But you don't need to have people with 7 cars who don't live in the neighborhood. They live 10 blocks away, and you see it all the time. So thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Are there any other comments from the working group members? Otherwise, we will be able to cede the extra 5 minutes over to the public. But we do. Okay, one more comment here.
Sorry, this is Thomas again. I was just gonna tack on to your point. There's also a possibility of flex use parking, where you have a structure that serves both the residences and the more of the community-based business element. I know those typically are a little bit harder to study and develop, but they definitely tend to work so that you're filling up spots during the day, but with business use, and then you're using them at night for residences, even in the higher density areas.
Thank you for your comment, and on to you, Randy.
Sure. Thank you. I also wanted to uplift the some of the recommendations that the TAEA task force put together. The letter was distributed here to the working group members, and I appreciate the detailed anti-displacement recommendations here in the letter. A few other quick points, somewhat related to mobility, but of course also tied to land use. It'd be great to see more tree-lined parkways along potential transit corridors, like Fairmount Avenue, for example, has a minimum width sidewalk. Parts of University down here do as well. Back to the point, the importance of shade. And as we're looking at creating protected bikeways, we also want to look at the opportunity to create parking protected bikeways. We have a lot of road width here, a lot of asphalt. And generally, I prefer to see, lanes reduced if possible, rather than parking lanes reduced. And overall for Mid-City, I think there'd be a lot of value in parking management. In my neighborhood, honestly, about 20% of the cars sit there for weeks, months at a time. People do use the streets like storage to storage private vehicles. I think if there was more parking management, it actually creates more parking availability for everyday people to use daily driving cars or every other day driving. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, I'll give a moment for any last comments from the working group members. Otherwise, we'll move on to public comment period. Ready? Let's move on to the public comment. So again, in order to stick to our meeting agreement tonight, we just want to remind everyone to remain concise, respectful, and creating time for as many voices as possible. For those who are in person, please fill out a comment card if you haven't already. It will be recorded as input. You can add your name to the speaker list up front, and you will have 30 seconds or I think we have enough time actually. Give one minute. Actually, Selena, do you mind mentioning how many comment cards we have so far? Do some quick math. Okay. You may also put your name down as a speaker. I think we anticipated. Okay, well, comment cards, and we can also make a line. So folks, if you have filled out a comment card, we can give you speaking priority. And then everyone else, please just get in line behind the speaker podium. We will be taking in-person comments first. And just to go over the online public comment period really quick, please write your comment in the chat and it will be recorded and documented. Or if you would like to speak for the online folks, please virtually raise your hand. And we can unmute you, up to you if you prefer to type or speak. We will be handling the in-person comments first, but if we notice we are getting close to time, we will take a pause and go to the online comments so we can hear from as many voices as possible and give a fair chance. So we will be starting with any on-topic comments. So if you have any public comments related to what we covered tonight, from general overview, sustainability, equity, and climate, the land use, or the urban design, we will be taking those comments first. And then after, we will be taking general comment for anything related to the Mid-City Communities Update Plan. So starting with that, we will give everyone, yes, 1 minute. 1 minute.
1 minute.
Yeah, okay. We will stick to the 1 minute time due to the number of comments. So we will start with the first person.
Okay, so I'm going to speak, if I may, on two things. Brent Boyd from MTS came and spoke to the CPC meeting the 24th of June. His comments because they're running out of money, is that they are going to delay indefinitely planned bus and trolley service increases. They're slowing transition to zero emission buses. They're not going to buy them. They don't have the funds. They're going to increase fare enforcement, and they're doing a fare study because we're all going to pay more money. Purple line, they don't need it. You know why? Because you've got the blue line. It goes all the way. You can pick it up at 12th and Imperial and get to the green line. The green line will take you to Mission Valley. So why are they going to waste billions of dollars to put a purple line in when the blue line and the green line together will work? Other thing, I'd like to know what series from Sandag you're using to determine the population and the need for housing. Because if you look at series 15, right now, the total is saying.
Thank you. Your 1 minute is up. We
Well,
will.
that's very nice because you only need 508 more people to get you to the 2050 mark.
Thank you. We will take the next public comment.
Hi, my name is Karen. I live in Talmadge. I support the most equitable plan that was put forward. I believe that's concept number 4. As Randy pointed out, I don't think this is widely known, but there are social benefits to mixed income neighborhoods. There have been at least a few studies that show that poor children who grow up in more affluent neighborhoods perform better. And I think that's a great social value that we should all support. And I have many other opinions, but I will hold them for the present. Thank you.
Thank you. On to the next commenter.
Hi, my name is Laura Rebo. I'm from El Cerrito. One of the huge problems with the plans shown so far is that they're not having anything that's really going to cause economic prosperity in our neighborhood. We don't need more affordable housing in the mid-city area. And there's plenty of areas within the rest of the city of San Diego that have high resources and have employment areas. And that's where more of the affordable housing should go. We need moderate income housing, high income housing, and we need economic and commercial and employment areas, because otherwise what are we walking to? We're still going to have to drive to a job, and we come home and walk to a corner store. A corner store is not a good source for good nutrition, cost-effective products. You need the grocery stores. You need to retain them. You need to get employment in our area and spread the affordable housing throughout the entire city and get market rate here, or we are not going to have a chance. We're going to become a slum.
Thank you. On to the next commenter.
Hi, my name is Danielle Lehman. I'm a resident of Kensington Talmadge. These are all overview comments. The first is that the historical district at Navy Housing north of Choice Lake was in the 1998 plan. And so why is it not included in this plan? Number 2, Aldine Drive was listed in the 1998 plan as needing improvements, stormwater, curb, gutters, and sidewalks. And why is it ignored in the mobility element? Number 3, Pool and Recreation Center on South Choias. I'm wondering if you are familiar with the Estrada Land Planning Feasibility Study of South Choias from 1989. It emphasizes that it cannot, what can and cannot be built on an old Choias landfill. Number 4, where are residents for most of Talmadge supposed to walk to a park? The 10-minute goal is not met. And for Kensington Talmadge specifically, you're still needed to show the high fire hazard areas, emergency evacuation routes, and flooding issues along creeks, which include the creek to the San Diego River.
Thank you. Next, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rahma Abdi. I'm the Director of Organizing and Campaign with PANA, and also a proud resident of City Heights. Our Somali story in City Heights has begun mid-1990, when the first Somali-owned store opened right on 50th and University Avenue. For many of us, it was the first place in San Diego where we saw our food, our language, our culture on display. Over the years, we have grown. Today, from Estrella Avenue to Choice Parkway, you will find more than a dozen of Somali business-owned, two mosques, nonprofit offices, and also the Global Village Market, the Global Village Cultural Hub. This is where we shop, pray, gather, and celebrate. It is truly in our heart, in our community. Since 2010, we have worked hand in hand with city and local organizations, thank you, Randy, for your leadership, to make this area safe and more welcoming with new crosswalk, public art, and other improvements.
Your 1 minute is up. Thank you.
As part of Mid-City Community Plan, we asking you guys to recognize this and stretch this University Avenue as Somali town. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. On to the next commenter.
Good evening. My name is Renee Mezzo, and I'm with the Atlantis Group representing PANA here today. And in line with our April 11th letter that we sent to the City Planning Department, and after meeting with city staff, moving Leah Street to the west solves the issue of bisecting this very property that we're standing on and allowing the development of this 100% affordable housing development that the city so desperately needs. So thank you.
Thank you. Next commenter, please.
Yeah, so just at the big level, I think a lot of the land use is imagining what could happen on places like El Cajon Boulevard, which is old Highway 80, was never a streetcar suburb or anything else. And one of the things I would recommend to people as you look at what Peter Calthorpe has done with what he calls grand boulevards, which is how do you transform these long byways. And we have 7 miles of El Cajon Boulevard. You could build tens of thousands of homes, but more importantly, you can create a very level circulating pattern for commerce, public uses and other things that would happen here. And I think we'd have a vision of density as something positive as opposed to, just plopping stuff places and having a very negative connotation of that. Some small things. We should have supplemental design regulations for things like single-story development. I think the comments about angle planes are very good. And also, from a small business displacement standpoint, the idea of creating smaller storefronts is a really good.
Thank you. Next commenter, please.
Hello, I want to thank you all for being here. I've never been to one of these meetings before, and this is really impressive. So thank you for your service. My name is Lori Henson. I'm the President Emeritus of the Talmadge Historical Society, and I'm the primary architect of the Talmadge Park Estates Historic District, which is listed on the National Register of the Historic Places. It is the hardest thing I have ever done, yet the most rewarding thing that I have ever done. And I would like to see more historic districts and underrepresented communities. Talmadge is not a typical historic district. You usually think of Mission Hills, but Talmadge is actually listed on the National Register. I want to see more in City Heights, and I am looking for those communities. You already have a historic district that's recognized locally. It's called Island Air. It is magnificent. I would like to see more of that in City Heights, and I'm very disturbed that the Historic Survey does not list any potential historic districts in City Heights. I'm also extremely upset that the City Survey has decided to break up Talmadge Park Estates Historic District for local recognition.
Your 1 minute is up. Thank you. Next commenter, please.
Thank you all. My name is Manny Rodriguez here on behalf of City Heights Community Development Corporation, and we help facilitate the TEA Task Force, which the letter was sent out today. And I just want to, first of all, thank the City Planning Department for incorporating a lot of our guiding principles in the ideas report. I do want to highlight a few, especially the anti-displacement. That's really core to City Heights, which is facing a lot of residential displacement, people being priced out. And we didn't really see much, honestly. There was a page that you highlighted, the staff highlighted, that already had things that already existed, tenant protections, affordable housing replacement, but we would like to see the Mid-City Community Plan update do more in tenant protections and do more in anti-displacement. We saw this in the Hillcrest Focus Plan update, where there were tenant protections and preferences given to businesses and residents in that community who've been there for a very long time. And we think that could be done in this plan update as well. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Next commenter, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Guillermina Rice, and I'm part of the group of the SR 15 Transportation Equity and Affordable Housing. We have a big group of parents and community in City Heights. And I'm gonna mention to you about some points that the parents are concerned about it. Guiding principles that we are concerned is safety and equitable streets, cultural preservation, and healthy and resilient environment. This is all because all in City Heights, we have a lot of schools. I'm part of the schools also, and I am advocating for my kids that they need to have clean parks, clean streets, and better air quality. Thank you.
Thank you. Next commenter.
Good evening. My name is Ramla Saeed. I'm the executive director of PENA. I grew up in City Heights. I went to all the local schools here, and the very cute kid that you saw running around really crazy in here is my son, and he's growing up in City Heights. So I'm very rooted here and I really appreciate the work put into the plan update around preservation, protection. We've seen a lot of history lost already through development. And I really do believe development can happen without displacement. For example, we lost the Golden Hall, which was on Fairmount Avenue and served as a hub for welcoming Cambodian, Lao, Latino, Somali refugees. Remember when Lucky used to be here, the store? There's a grocery store named actually named Lucky. Albertsons, right. So we're losing history. And so creating the Somali district and Somali town is about preserving history. And the Global Village is about rooting people in their long-term neighborhoods. The revitalization, the economic development, the growth you see in City Heights is because you have longtime residents who are low income, yes, live in affordable housing sometimes, but because they love their community are willing to fight very hard to make sure the beauty is maintained.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next commenter, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Ahmed Mahmoud, and I'm also someone who was born and raised in San Diego and grew up in this district. Almost all of my family members live in this district, and San Diego is home to the 4th largest Somali community. Majority of our stores are here, where we pray, our mosques are here, where we play basketball and soccer is over here locally at the Cleanup Park. And I'm out requesting that the group includes a Somali cultural district distinction in the plan. And it would mean a lot to us because as folks who, are away from our home, it gives us a feeling of home away from home, especially because we spent all of our lives here, and it would mean a lot to us. So thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Maria Cortez. I am a resident of City Heights for 54 years, work with the City Heights Development Corporation, and do a lot in the community because our communities deserve the best. And I say all of our communities because we are connected. And I have been working on that darn purple line for 47 years. We have been promised that purple line. And every time something gets changed. And so the original was it's supposed to be with the SR 15. We need to have that, the purple line coming through because it's going to connect the South Bay to us into the North County. And what do we want? We want the different communities to come together because this is what it's all about, especially in the times that we are now, we have now. We need to all get together. I don't care where you're from. We all need to get together, and we do need that purple line. I may not be alive when it's built, but I will be there because my ashes is going to come through. But it's been 47 years. It took 40 years just to get the
Thank you. Your 1 minute is up.
So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's a hard act to follow. Hey, it's obvious you've made a lot of progress. You've put a lot of effort and heart into this to develop a great plan. You're really working hard on it. It's obvious together. You have a lot of great community engagement. I actually don't live in Mid-City. I live in College area, and we're just a little ahead of you with our plan update. I direct a fire safe council. After our big Montezuma fire, we helped 5 more communities. We have 4 in your area: Kensington, Talmadge, Rolando Park, and Normal Heights. And we see that the plan updates are a great opportunity to get some more language in about fire preparedness. I see one line in your parks, public facilities, and open spaces. But we're looking forward to working together with some of the people on your working group and also your fire safe council leaders to look at what else might go into this document to help focus attention on fire preparedness and it as a land use policy opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. We will now turn over to, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. We have one more in person and then I'll turn it over to the online commenters.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ahmed Malnomar. Thank you for serving this community, all of you guys, and your time. I'm only here because I grew up in City Heights, and I just wanted to tell you guys, I served the board that you're serving many, many years, and I've seen the decisions and the impact that actually went in our community. And today, the reason I'm in front of you is that there was a project that we have been dearly proposing for many, many years, and we wanted to see if you guys can put it in your plans and the Mid-City plan, which is the Somali Town Cultural District. As you know, the gathering place is the only place that gets used when throughout San Diego. This little spot gets used more than any other places that the parks and anywhere else. As you see, the community sits there, tea talks and everything else. And those beacon lights that you see, this group made it happen many, many years ago. And I know you guys can make it happen. I thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. All right, Aparna, I'll turn it over to you to help facilitate any online discussion.
Thanks again, Morgan. I see a few attendees who would like to share their thoughts. Let's start with you, Sue Richardson. Sue, I've granted you access. Please go ahead.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Sue Richardson. I lost my voice there. Okay, hi, I'm Sue Richardson. I'm the chair of the Colina del Sol Recreation Group. I just had a couple of comments on the, I came here for park and recreation stuff, but I guess it falls under climate plan. You mentioned the Toronto Park concept. It's really exciting, but I'm wondering how realistic it is. I'm wondering if it's in the park master plan because I've not really seen it. I'm wondering if it's really in the window of the life of this community plan. I'm encouraging you to look at opportunities for more parks in all neighborhoods that don't have them already within a 10-minute walk. I also want to know if the Choice Creek stormwater restoration improvements are getting park land credit or only just the usable trail portion for that area and not to count all of the improvements as park points. And then I also looked at when you showed the map of the boundaries of the plan along Colwood and Montezuma, I just want to encourage you to make sure that they reflect the same boundaries as the college area plan, because I don't think they were the same as what they showed us on Monday at the college area community plan update meeting. So make sure you guys jive the two plans and the boundaries, because I think they changed them to put some of that Colwood Boulevard and Montezuma moved into your plan from the college area plan.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks. And I'll come back when there's more recreation stuff.
Thanks. So next we have Dana. Dana, please go ahead. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Please go ahead, Dana.
Okay, thanks. I'm also from the college area. I wanted to just say a few quick things. Someone mentioned that we might have a fire department on SDSU campus. We do not. We have no fire department. And we have a 1.6 acre park. And in our meeting on Monday night, basically the planning department made us aware of where your parks and your rec center are so that we could make use of them since we only have a 1.6 acre park. So we're supposed to be using the surrounding areas, parks and rec centers. And I wanted you to know, since you were talking about lights, street lights, that we have been told that there's a 440-day wait for street lights to be repaired, and there's nothing to be done about that. And that the college area is being asked to plan for an increase of 322% increase in the dwelling units in our community. So beware of what you're being asked for in light of what California and Sandag are looking for in terms of density increases for your neighborhood. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Dana. Next, I see Paul would like to share thoughts. Paul, please go ahead.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Paul Jameson. I live in Kensington. I'd like to express my support for options 3 or 4. These are the most equitable or fair because they upzone the single family residential areas while including higher densities along transit corridors. And, with the affirmatively furthering fair housing requirements, the recent city lawsuit that requires affordable housing in wealthier areas and complete communities and the potential of SB 79, are the low density single family housing options even viable here? So we're in a housing crisis because we've refused to allow more housing in these areas. I live off Adams Ave. There's a bus line here that with job centers between job centers and SDSU, but I also walk and bike to the buses on El Cajon Boulevard. We can allow higher densities in these neighborhoods more than just one block from El Cajon Boulevard. And finally, building affordable housing with abundant parking just isn't possible. $25,000 a space for parking garage space. So this is a plan. This is a way we can provide safe and viable options to driving instead of forcing folks into costly car ownership. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. Next, we have Mauro who would like to share some feedback. Please go ahead, Mauro.
Hi, thank you and for allowing us the space to speak. My name is Mauro, and I've been living in City Heights for the past 35 years. Hopefully, I can make it 20 more. I work here in City Heights also. I am a teacher at Clark Middle School, and I get to see the importance of mobility. A ton of our students walk or bike to school, and they have to, if they bike, they have to use the sidewalks because Fairmont Avenue and some of the surrounding streets are just not safe enough for them for cars that are going 30 to 40 miles an hour. And then if we had more bike lanes available, parents wouldn't have to double park on the streets at dismissal. So I think we could all benefit. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mauro. Charles, I'm now granted you access. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So I am almost 80 years old, and I would just say thank you to the working group and the staff for putting all this together. This is my first time experiencing it. I would just ask the working group and the staff to think about 20 to 30 years in the future. Maybe you're 40, 50, you'll be 70, 80. Think about what the future will be with AI, robotics, self-driving cars. Industries will change. Immigrants may not come in given the current administration. Who knows what will happen? Thumbs up the presentation tonight. Thumbs down the shortened public comment period, which is unfortunate. I will put most of my comments about Peralta. I love Global Village. It should be all mid-city. I think the intent of housing needs to be said in a percentage in the 20-30 year countdown. How much will be affordable? How much will be market rate? What's the goal? Blue Line needs a stop at El Cajon and University, then switch over to the I-15. Lots of other things.
Your 1 minute is up.
I'll put it in an email. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles. Judy, would you like to go next? I've granted you access.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Judy Harrington. I'm co-chair of Kensington Fire Safe Council, and I want to reiterate what Karen Austin from Alvarado Fire Safe Council said earlier, we do appreciate all this work. We definitely would like to see more specifics in the document that focus on making us safer from wildfires so we won't end up like Palisades or Altadena. Even though our terrain is almost identical to theirs, some of our canyon rim neighbors are even denser, increasing the risk of destruction. So we would like you to consider what else we can do. And one of the ways we might do that is become a qualified fire risk reduction community. It uses best practices for fire planning that are determined by the California Board of Forestry and Fire Protection, such as adopting local defensible space ordinances and rules that exceed state minimum requirements. So we would just urge you to take a look at that, and in any case, work with us, the Fire Safe Councils, on adding more aggressive fire safe activities for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. John, would you like to go next? Please go ahead, John.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is John Hogan. I sit on the Eastern Area Community Planning Group. I live in Redwood Village, which is where you guys are sitting right now. Wanted to let you know that my family and I support an idea more along the lines of number 5. One of the things we've noticed about the development of ADUs in neighborhoods like ours is that they are owned by corporations who buy up the houses from single family people and then make units which they rent to people for exorbitant amounts. You'll also notice that in our neighborhood, we have no parks, and we would like some parks in part of the plan. I appreciate your listening to me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have Halima Mahmoud. Halima, I've given you access. Please go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Halima Mohammed. I'm a longtime resident of City Heights. I work with many nonprofits in the community, and I currently work with NAMI as a Somali mental health teacher. And I'm advocating for the Somali Hub because as a longtime City Heights resident, I feel like the Somali community has been very vital. And as someone was mentioning before, I think Ramla was mentioning, you guys tore down the East African Community Center, and I feel like that was really hurtful for the community. And like we had so many good memories, and we had like so much, I don't know, it was just like a really important place for the community. So I feel like the Somali Cultural Hub will be really, really vital for us, and it would play a really big part in like the lives of like future generations of Somalis.
I
And
do
it would
think that
contribute a lot to the
we're just
community.
basically being absorbed into City Heights. Definitely that area, you know.
Sorry, Halima, would you like to continue?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I was just saying that the Somali Cultural Hub would be really vital to the community because you guys tore down the East African Center and there was like a lot of good memories that people had attached there. Like I remember like a lot of my sisters, they got married there. There was like a lot of political events. There was so much like really important things that were happening in the community there. And it's where everybody came together. And I feel like you guys should not like, I don't know, kind of strip away so much, from the Somalis here in San Diego. So like building that cultural hub would be very, very vital to us. And it would be really helpful to like the future generations of Somalis living here.
Thank you. Thanks, public members. At this time, I don't see any other hands raised from the public. So over to you again, Morgan.
Thank you, Aparna. Just going to quickly wrap up next steps. And I also wanted to commend everyone for being so clear and concise tonight. We were actually able to extend each 20-minute period for working group member discussion and the public comment period by at least 5 minutes. So thank you, everyone. Going to wrap up quickly with what's next. So we've released an ideas report. Next up, we will have a following working group member discussion to the second half of the ideas report to include topics like history and place, urban design, mobility, parks, and we will then begin the second round of public engagement in the fall through winter, and more on how to get involved in the next slide. And you can expect the first draft of the plan update in spring of 2026. So how you can stay informed and involved is you can visit the Plan Update website. We do keep it updated, planmidcity.org. You can attend the next working group meeting, date TBD. We're anticipating October or November. You can provide comments to the ideas report by November 21st. There is an online public comment form, again, on the same website. And you can participate in the upcoming public engagement activities, including the second Planning Commission workshop in fall 2025. We will also be presenting to each community planning group in the next several months. We'll have office hours, pop-up, and houses, and more. So you can also send us an email at planmidcity@sandiego.gov, and one of our community planners will get back to you. And with that, thank you, working group members. Thank you, members of the public. And thank you, Pana, for hosting us this evening and allowing us to gather. Yeah, this concludes our meeting. Have a